So pleased to say we've been joined by our stellar panel, hot off their panel session, and Carl's keynote about Europe at the crossroads. So just a quick introduction along the panel. K.Bildt, K.Sinz, L.Subran and Sir J.Greenstock. So probably start with you, Carl, if I may. Could you just sum up your keynote, the panel discussion as you saw it?
I think we sort of indicated all of the uncertainties that are there in a world that is changing. Geopolitics is challenging globalization. We see the rise of new powers and the competition between them. We see the rise of identity politics that is transforming the politics of the West primarily. And we see, of course, the digital world with all of the opportunities as well as the challenges. And that sort of affects the political fortune of European integration as well, where we are struggling with, the Brits as well are struggling with Brexit, but where we've had a resurgence of faith in European integration lately.
Okay. And so Jeremy, from your point of view, I think of Brexit and some of your particular skill sets, what's your perspective?
It's very interesting looking into the future because actually, if you think about it, you can identify the big trends reasonably well. What's unpredictable are the symptoms, the little things happening around those big trends. So there is a very strong trend towards fragmentation in the world at the moment because people are resorting to identity politics as a reaction to globalization and as a defense of their own familiar system in a period of change. And that's a very strong impulse. And governments are trying to pull that back together again into a situation of collectivism and compromise. And there's a tension there, which can produce risks, obviously, but it produces opportunities because people are responding in different ways. But the business world looking at this has to analyse what's going on in that tension, and that's what we're trying to serve the conference today.
So then turn into the business world. Ludwig, Khadija, whichever would like to speak first.
Focusing on how the insurers and the insurance market reacts and more importantly proactively organize themselves. We focused on one hand how we do things now after Brexit and how we took a scenario of a hard Brexit just to make sure we had a solid platform to operate with preserving the passporting rights, but then being companies fit for purpose in the future. And as this world evolves, our aim is to interrogate the future and find the solutions to support a robust and resilient economy with the insurers which we are serving. So that's been our focus, and much of the discussions helped probably giving the difficulty and the challenge, but also the exciting thoughts which we can have as we move ahead.
As an economist heading research at both Allianz and Hermes, I think we need to remember that companies are much more European than states, and I think the private sector, the European private sector, has to make sure that in the face of difficulties in the US, Brexit and the end of City of London, and not yet mature China and emerging world, we as Europe have to build the proper resilience and foundation, but also be a bit more offensive in inventing the solutions. And the financial sector, especially the insurance sector, has to be very proactive in today's uncertain world to offer new solutions. We need to attract people here because we're better at green, we're better at innovation, we're better at impact.
Okay, I guess just kind of closing off, if you could offer one piece of advice to the risk management community, the commercial community, what would it be, just bringing down the table?
I'm not an expert in exactly how the risk management community works or the industry, but clearly we are living in a time of profound changes. I often make the point that we are back to normal, what history normally is. We've been through a period that has been more stable. Now we have both political, we have ideological, identity, technological change. And as Sir Jeremy said, I think we can see the big trends, but the individual consequences of that, there you have to have much more an open mind.
As basically companies are looking at understanding and fostering at board level the risk appetite of their companies, the risk manager has to have a prime role in helping and in assisting and providing the information. We as insurance companies or at the insurance market, we have lots of information, and we have to be part and be proactive in helping co-creating the solution so that this risk appetite can be respected and can be accompanied, and that we hope to help build a more resilient world and economical upturn.
I think the risk management professionals have to rethink trust, the drivers of trust, psychological drivers, economic drivers, because we live in a world of infobesity whereby you get a lot of information, some of it is pure noise and you don't disentangle the signal. And I think as the profession, we need to be bearer of trust also. We are usually fearmongers, you know, as the insurance sector. And I think we need to turn this around a little bit now and understand what are, in this very different world, what can activate trust in our clients, in our prospects. And if we find this is a growing sector, because people need rules, as Greenstock just mentioned during the conference, but they also need trust to replace some of these rules that are sometimes a bit counterproductive to business.
Okay, so Jeremy?
We're in a world of change, and change is sort of unpopular and we don't like it, but you have to address it. So embrace the necessity of addressing change, and then get not just the information available, that's everywhere. Not just the analysis, because that's also everywhere, and it's the judgment that you have to get right. There you have to communicate, you have to talk, you have to come to conferences like this, you have to use, I think, advice, but structure it. Get disciplined in dealing with change, and it's not that awful in having to confront it.
Oh, great. Well, thank you for taking the time to come to talk
Thank
to us.
you. Thank
Hope you
you.
enjoyed
Thank
your
you.
time. Thank you.
Thank you.